So we're in Fresno, California. We're getting ready to install a new wax ring in this toilet here. Homeowner called us, let us know there's water coming out from underneath, and you can see there's a little residual water left. We'll try and get as much of that out. The problem we see here outside of the water leaking is this flange. So just a horrible product. I mean, we used to, the only thing they used to make was solid plastic. And that was it. You glued it on, you put your bolts in, done. Then they decided, hey, let's give the plumbers an adjustable ring up here, so it's powder-coated steel. It's great. It's water resistant, but it's not waterproof, especially when you get a lot of water down there. So as you can see around these two areas right here, this guy right here, the bolt is rusted, but so is the mounting assembly. So what you're supposed to do is slide the bolt, the head of the bolt in that larger portion, and then this slotted portion you slide it back and bolt it down. That's great too. Same thing over here, but you can see the bolt is corroded and the flange is corroded. And so normally we like to give you new bolts. Problem is, if we take those guys out, we do run the risk of just discovering that it's already corroded through. And you can see all the rust on top of that red color. That's just a powder coating. It's steel underneath. And where you see the rust, that's where it's penetrated and getting corroded. You can see a lot of rust build up right near the bolt. So we don't, and I don't like this. We don't use these. We'll never use these again. Once we got into service plumbing, we understood this is not a good idea. So we use solid flanges, PVC or ABS. And the lips on here, you can see the steel on the inside closest to where the opening is. Just a very small lip of metal where that bolt is supposed to slide underneath, and then when you tighten things down, it pulls up against that. So if it's corroded, when you pull, the bolt pops out. So we're going to leave those in place. We did let the homeowner know we'd take a video of this and let her know why we don't want to change these repairs. For us to do it, I'm sure you can find someone to do it cheaper, but you're looking at $600 to repair a flange. This is a closet bin that's down in there, so no additional pipe involved. You've got, looks like it may have even been repaired once before. The flange is glued into the closet bin, so there's not much you can do with this. And then what's happening below, I don't know, you can see it looks almost like a nail or a screw. 1, 2, and then probably one there on the side, and then one back here. That's a big no. It looks like someone tried to drill in through the plastic into concrete and mount, go ahead and get this mounted back into concrete so it would hold, and you can see now they're rusted. So not a big fan, not great. I mean, honestly, this whole thing is off center anyways. This toilet to sidewall looks like every bit of maybe 12 inches, maybe 10 inches. That's not code. Never should have passed. It should be over here in the center of the opening between the tub and the wall, about 50. It should be moved over about 5 inches. So worst case, you have to come in, and pop a tile, and then of course, saw cut the floor and move the flange over, cement it all back in, and then put your tile back in, put your toilet back in. We're going to try and avoid all that. So what we're going to do is just use the existing bolts, put some new wax rings in there, tighten it down, shim it, get it still, and then moving forward, I would say just be very, very gentle with this toilet. I don't like to leave things in this shape, but you can see the previous repairs and the integrity of the flange itself is in question. So hopefully it'll resolve the issue. We'll let you know how we feel about it once it's installed. If it's moving around a lot, we'll let you know if we like it or if we don't. But for the price quoted and what we're doing, we're just replacing wax rings. But we do have to document this because we need to let you know what's happening. And we don't like people to feel like we're gouging them with pricing. We like to be fair with people, and that's why we take these videos so you can see. Anyway, so we're gonna get this toilet reset, get the waxes on, run some water, make sure it's not leaking, and then we'll take another video when we're done. Okay, still here in Fresno, California, we got the toilet reset. So existing toilet by the homeowner. Everything was leaking down here, so the wax ring had failed. A little bit of movement there, and we didn't do a very good job cleaning this up before we install it. The previous installers had a lot of caulking up on the finish, and you'll be able to see that around there. That's not ours, and of course you can come back with any kind of cleaner to try and clean that out. But we did caulk it back in, and so nice thing about this now, it's not over tightened. Like I said, the flange is in bad shape. Well, not really bad shape. The bolts were a little rusty, the flange is a little rusty, so we didn't replace those. and but we did bolt it back down, and it snugged it up, and it is sitting nicely on the floor. So there's no shims, there was no rocking, there was no movement, there's no gaps around the perimeter, which is actually not typical for toilet installation. So it is sitting flat against the floor. The bolts are not over tightened. The reason why is, you know, if you have a good flange and good bolts, you can tighten this thing down until you actually break the bowl. That's how tight you can tighten these bolts down here. This we can't because we're pulling against rusted steel flange. It's plastic and steel flange. So anyways, there's no movement in it. The toilet is filling correctly, flushing correctly, shutting off correctly. None of that functionality is ours, but it is working correctly. So you know, the toilet's in good shape as far as the tank it goes. It means, you know, you press the lever, it flushes, it fills back up, it shuts off, so no trouble there, but that wasn't the scope of our work. Ours was simply to get the wax strings in there and stop the leaking. So it's caulked back in. We like to leave the back open a little bit. It's just the way I was taught. Can't say if that's the correct way or the wrong way to do it, but what we like to do is, if you caulk it all the way in and you get a leak down there, what happens is it fills up around the ring, and then it begins to corrode things. My method, if you leave the back slightly open, if you get a water seepage, it'll come out just at the back right there. You'll be able to tell right away, either you'll see the wetness in the grout line or discoloration, or you'll start to see the baseboard begin to swell because the water is being drawn into it. So all of that to say, we're happy with this. I mean, we like to see, we're used to brand new installations. Let's put it that way. We've done the work underneath the floor. We've put the flanges in. We've mounted the toilets. And so we're confident in the work that we do. As I showed you in the first portion of this video, they've glued directly into a closet bend, which is fine, but you can't repair that. And then they put some screws in. For what reason, I'm not sure, but they're rusted away. And then, of course, the flange had water on it, and it's corroded somewhat. But it's still, I would say, leave this guy alone. Don't bump it around. Don't you know, just be gentle with it. That's all. Just sit down on it, stand up. Don't dance on it. Don't stand on it. You know, to work on your light up in the ceiling or your air conditioning register. But you should be fine. The only other note that I have is this rough-in here for this bathroom. If this is the original construction, which I assume it is, should never have passed inspection. Reason being is that toilet is about 10 inches off the wall, and that's not code. Code's 15 minimum from sheetrock, minimum from this tub. And as you can see, looking at this opening, the toilet is way off to the left. That's fine if you have the room to do it, but minimum is 15 off the wall, and it's not. It's about 10 to 12. So it should be moved over, ideally in between, center. That way aesthetically it's pleasing, but that's just my nit and pick. That's my little fussiness. Outside of that, this installation is done.